the wild has taught me that the most dangerous threats often don't announce themselves with a roar. They build slowly, subtly, like a change in the wind before a hurricane, or the unsettling quiet before a predator strikes. It's the same with societal collapse. A nation doesn't just wake up one morning and decide to tear itself apart. A civil war is not a sudden event. It is the final violent stage of a long and festering illness. It begins with whispers of division, grows with shouts of anger, and culminates in a fight for survival. Understanding this slow burn is your first and most critical survival tool. It allows you to see the signs, to prepare your gear, and to get your head right long before the first real shots are fired, and the chaos becomes your new reality. Recognizing these early stages is the difference between being a victim of circumstance and becoming a survivor. Panic is your enemy. It clouds judgment and leads to fatal mistakes. Preparation, on the other hand, is your greatest ally. It's not about fear, it's about respect for the potential danger ahead. Just as you'd pack a waterproof jacket when you see dark clouds gathering on the horizon, you must begin to take quiet, deliberate steps when you see the fabric of society starting to fray. This essay is your field guide. It's designed to help you spot those dark clouds, understand what they mean, and equip you with the practical knowledge to navigate the storm if it comes, keeping yourself and your loved ones safe. Think of it as building a shelter before the rain starts, waiting until you are soaked to the bone and shivering is a foolish plan. The time to gather your materials, scout your location, and practice your skills is when the sun is still shining, even if it's behind a growing number of clouds. This guide will walk you through the warning signs, from the earliest political tremors to the overt violence that signals a complete breakdown. More importantly, it will give you a clear, actionable plan. This isn't about politics or picking a side. This is about one thing and one thing only: survival. It's about having the right mindset, the right location, the right gear, and the right people to endure and rebuild. The journey ahead requires you to be observant, discreet, and resilient. You must learn to see the world not just as it is, but as it could become. This means paying attention to the news, but also to the mood on your street, the availability of goods in your local store, and the language people use to describe their neighbors. It's about collecting intelligence like a scout in hostile territory, using that information to make smart decisions. Forget the noise and the panic you see on television. Focus on what is real, what is practical, and what you can control. Your survival journey begins now, with the simple act of opening your eyes and deciding to be prepared. The first signs of a brewing civil conflict are often found in the political landscape, long before any physical violence erupts. This is the kindling phase, where the dry wood of discontent is stacked high. The most significant indicator is extreme political polarization. Society stops seeing political opponents as fellow citizens with different ideas and starts viewing them as an existential threat, as an enemy that must be defeated at all costs. The common ground where compromise once grew turns into a barren no-man's land. Language becomes venomous. Words like evil, vermin, or traitors are used to describe half the country. When dialogue dies and is replaced with pure tribal hatred, the foundation for conflict is laid. Alongside this division comes a catastrophic erosion of trust in core institutions. People begin to lose faith in the systems that are meant to hold society together: the government, the courts, the media, and even the fairness of elections. When a large part of the population believes the entire system is rigged, corrupt, and illegitimate, they lose the incentive to follow its rules. The social contract, the unspoken agreement to abide by laws in exchange for security and justice, begins to tear. People start asking themselves why they should play a game when they believe the referees are cheats. This loss of faith is a powerful solvent that dissolves the bonds of a nation. As trust in official protection wanes, another warning sign emerges: the rise of non-state armed groups. These often start as concerned citizen clubs, neighborhood watches, or activist groups. But they soon adopt militant rhetoric, wear matching gear, and engage in paramilitary-style training. They see themselves as the true patriots or protectors, filling the vacuum left by a state they no longer trust to keep them safe. The appearance of these groups is a clear signal that people are preparing for a fight, believing the official police and military will either be unable or unwilling to protect their specific tribe when the time comes. This is a massive red flag. The final element in this first phase is severe and widespread economic strain. Desperation is a powerful motivator for extremism. When people cannot feed their families, find a job, or afford basic necessities due to hyperinflation or a deep depression, they become vulnerable to radical voices offering simple solutions and clear enemies to blame. Economic collapse provides the foot soldiers for a potential conflict, as people with nothing left to lose are more willing to risk everything for a chance at a better future, or simply for revenge against those they hold responsible for their misery. A hungry population is an angry and unpredictable population ready to be mobilized by charismatic but dangerous leaders. If Phase 1 is the kindling, Phase 2 is the spark that sets it ablaze. These are the accelerant events that can rapidly push a deeply divided society from simmering tension into open conflict. A primary catalyst is a major political crisis that shatters the remaining hope for a peaceful solution, like a hotly contested election or a coup. When a significant portion of the population becomes convinced that their vote is meaningless, and that power has been seized illegitimately, they may conclude that violence is the only path left to make their voices heard. This feeling of political disenfranchisement can turn millions of disgruntled citizens into potential revolutionaries, who believe they are fighting to restore democracy, not destroy it. Another powerful accelerant is the outbreak of widespread and sustained civil unrest that overwhelms law enforcement. These are not peaceful protests, they are violent riots, characterized by looting, arson, and direct clashes with authorities. When the police are forced to retreat from entire sections of a city, and the government appears to have lost control, it sends a powerful message. The state is weak. Each side uses footage of the chaos as propaganda to recruit followers, portraying their opponents as violent anarchists or themselves as the only force capable of restoring order. This cycle of violence and propaganda hardens attitudes and makes reconciliation seem impossible. The rhetoric from political leaders during this phase can act like gasoline poured on a fire. When leaders stop calling for calm and instead use dehumanizing language, they are giving their followers moral permission to commit violence. Calling opponents enemies of the people, traitors, or an infestation is not just political speech. It is a psychological tool to strip the other side of their humanity. This makes it easier for ordinary people to justify acts of aggression that would have been unthinkable just a few years prior. Words are weapons, and in this phase, they are used to prime the population for a physical fight by painting the other side as a threat that must be eliminated. These accelerants feed on each other, creating a dangerous feedback loop. A contested election can trigger riots, which are then used by leaders to justify extreme rhetoric and emergency measures. This, in turn, further convinces the other side that they are living under a tyrannical regime, leading to more unrest. At this stage, the slide towards civil war speeds up dramatically. The window for de-escalation narrows with each violent event and each inflammatory speech. For the prepared individual, this is the final signal. It's the time to double-check your plans, confirm your bug-out routes, and ensure your family is ready to move. The storm is no longer on the horizon, it is directly overhead. This is the point of no return, where the conflict transforms from sporadic unrest into organized violence. The most overt sign of Phase 3 is the formation of clear geographic lines of control. The fight is no longer just about riots in city centers, it becomes about holding territory. You will start to see checkpoints appearing on roads, manned not by police, but by armed factions. Travel becomes incredibly dangerous as your perceived identity, based on your accent, your license plate, or even the bumper stickers on your car, could get you killed. The country begins to fracture into a patchwork of zones controlled by different groups, a process known as balkanization. Your freedom of movement is gone. The single most definitive event that marks the start of a full-scale civil war is the fracturing of the military and police. When these official security forces, who hold a monopoly on legitimate violence, split their allegiance and begin fighting for different political factions instead of the nation, the last pillar of the state has crumbled. You may see a National Guard unit refusing federal orders, an army division pledging loyalty to a certain leader, or police departments declaring their allegiance to a local warlord. Once the professional soldiers and officers turn their guns on each other, the conflict escalates into a conventional war, and the level of violence and destruction grows exponentially. With organized fighting comes the deliberate targeting of critical infrastructure. Power grids, water treatment plants, communication towers, bridges, and railways become military targets. The goal is to cripple the other side's ability to function, but the result is misery for everyone caught in the middle. Suddenly you have no electricity, no clean running water, no internet, and no way to call for help. The complex systems that support modern life are surprisingly fragile. Their destruction sends society back 100 years overnight and makes survival a brutal, minute-to-minute struggle for the most basic resources. This is when your preparations truly pay off. In this environment, daily life becomes a constant exercise in risk assessment. Your safety is no longer guaranteed by law, but is dictated by your group identity. You must constantly watch what you say, who you talk to, what you wear, and where you go. An old flag on your house or a casual comment made to the wrong person could be a death sentence. Trust evaporates entirely, replaced by paranoia. Everyone outside your immediate vetted circle is a potential threat. This is the reality of a collapsed society, a world where there are no more bystanders, only sides, and survival depends on navigating this treacherous new landscape with extreme caution and awareness. When society unravels, your most powerful weapon is not a rifle, it is your mind. The first pillar of preparation is cultivating the right mindset, which begins with unwavering situational awareness. You must train yourself to be a human intelligence-gathering machine. Observe everything. Notice the mood of the crowds, the new graffiti appearing on walls, which stores are running low on supplies, and the presence of non-local vehicles in your area. This isn't about paranoia, it is about collecting data to make informed decisions. Your ability to see a threat developing before it arrives will give you the time you need to react effectively, whether that means staying put and locking down or executing your bug-out plan before everyone else. This leads to the gray man principle. Your goal is to be invisible. In a crisis, the person who stands out becomes a target. Do not advertise your preparedness. Don't brag about your food stores, show off your expensive gear, or wear tactical clothing. Blend in. Drive a common, nondescript vehicle. Wear average clothes. Avoid getting into heated political arguments. The desperate, the greedy, and the hostile factions will all be looking for resources and easy victims. The person who looks well-equipped and well-fed is a prime target. Your greatest security is being utterly forgettable and underestimated, allowing you to move and operate without attracting unwanted attention. Never let anyone know what you have or what you are capable of. Your second pillar of preparation is location. In a collapse scenario, cities are death traps. They are entirely dependent on fragile, just-in-time supply chains for food, water, and power. When those chains break, a city of millions will descend into a desperate battle for dwindling resources within days. Suburbs are only marginally better, as they will quickly be overrun by refugees fleeing the urban chaos. The ideal location is a rural area with low population density. This provides a natural buffer from the worst of the violence and gives you space to become more self-sufficient through gardening, raising small animals, and securing a private water source. Your primary goal should be to get out of densely populated areas. To do this, you need a pre-planned bug-out strategy. You must have a primary destination, a rural property, a friend's farm, a pre-arranged retreat, and at least 2 alternate routes to get there. These routes should be mapped out on physical paper maps, as GPS and cell service will be unreliable. Critically, you must plan to leave early. The moment you see the unmistakable signs of Phase 3 beginning, it's time to go. If you wait until the government announces an evacuation, or until the highways are gridlocked with panicked masses, it's too late. The roads will become impassable, and authorities or other factions will have established roadblocks. The key to a successful bug-out is to be gone before the herd even realizes it needs to move. The third pillar is your core essentials, the physical gear that will keep you alive. Your absolute top priority is water. You can survive weeks without food, but only a few days without water. Store as much potable water as you can, but more importantly, have multiple, redundant methods for purifying it. This means high-quality portable filters, chemical treatment tablets or unscented bleach, and the means to boil water, such as a sturdy metal pot and a reliable fire source. Never rely on a single method. If one fails, you need a backup. Securing a safe, renewable water source is the foundation of long-term survival, making it a critical factor in choosing your bug-out location. Next is food. Build a deep pantry, but do it smartly. Start by stocking up on the non-perishable foods your family already eats and knows how to cook, and rotate through them to keep them fresh. This should be your first layer. Supplement this with long-term survival foods like rice, beans, oats, and flour, properly sealed in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers to last for decades. Beyond storage, you must have a plan for sustainable food production. This means having seeds for a garden, learning basic hunting or trapping skills, and knowing how to identify edible wild plants in your area. Your stored food is a bridge to get you to the point where you can produce your own. Security is the harsh reality of a world without law. You are your own first responder. This means having the tools and the training to defend yourself, your family, and your resources. A reliable rifle for defense at a distance and a pistol for close-quarter situations are the standard. However, owning them is not enough. You must seek out professional training and practice regularly until you are truly proficient and safe with them under stress. Equally important is hardening your home. Reinforce doors and windows, have a plan for extinguishing fires, and establish a watch schedule. Your home is your fortress, and you must treat its defense with the utmost seriousness. Don't forget medical supplies, a comprehensive trauma kit, and the training to use it are just as vital as any weapon. Finally, and most importantly, you cannot survive alone. The fourth pillar is community. The lone wolf is a myth. In a real survival scenario, they are the first to die. You must begin building a trusted community now. This is a small group of like-minded, skilled individuals whom you have vetted carefully over time. A group provides layered security, a diversity of essential skills, medical, mechanical, agricultural, and crucial psychological support to endure the immense stress of a collapse. Money will also likely become worthless, making a barter economy essential. Stockpile useful, durable goods for trade, items like ammunition, liquor, coffee, salt, batteries, and lighters. Your stored food is for your group's survival. These barter items are your currency to acquire what you lack, forge alliances, and navigate the new world. Act early, prepare quietly, always get your long-term food supplies from READYWISE by clicking on the appropriate links in the description, and stay alive.